Okay, had a request to show a camera following something, following a path. If I just open this one and we go here, you'll be able to see this would be the end result. The camera follows the ship around the path, and then the camera pans around the ship. I've also added a little bit of animation into the ship to make it land a little afterwards. So it's, even though it's at the end of the path, it's still doing other animation. So basically we're going to create that. I start with a simple file. I've just got a plane, some duplicated buildings thrown together with a particle system, so they're more interesting than just squares, but they're just literally something to fly around, rather than just an empty scene where you're not really noticing what you're flying around. Got ourselves a little spacey craft, which I shall just align to there and lock the rotation. Oh, no, I don't want to lock that rotation at all. That's where I went wrong before. Right, so I just want to put it there. Then we've got a primary camera, which I'm going to have follow the craft, which follows that path, and a secondary camera, which will do the little bit round there afterwards. Right, now when this was done, the person said they just did that, Control P, and followed path. That's fine, that'll work, but if you sort of really want to understand what's going on with the path, you can look under your path animation. And this number of frames basically is your speed, so when it says 100 frames, that's how long it will take to traverse the whole path. So the lower that number, the faster the speed, the higher the number, the slower the speed. The evaluation time, when you do a Control P follow path, sets that using a generator in the graphs curves, and just sets it to a basically a linear thing. Now you could do that by hand as well if you want, or you can use the you sort of do it halfway where you use the generator. The only difference is when you do Control P, you don't need to create a keyframe. With everything else you need to create a keyframe. So if we go frame 1, I set that to 1, and I set that to a keyframe. Then I go into my animation and pull up the graph editor there. There's our evaluation time. We've just got a keyframe. Go into my modifiers, generator, polynomial, and that's all you need. That's it. It's done. And the only other thing you do is just click on that. So now as I scrub the timeline, you'll see the evaluation time matches that in times of pure frames. Now the one difference between doing it with a generator and if I turn that generator off, go in and say to frame 50, going into the F curve, set the value to 50. Oh, sorry, insert a keyframe first. So I on the selected channel, select that, set that value to 50, select all, T to set the interpolation to linear, Shift D to set the extrapolation to linear. Now the difference is, now if you watch that, it's not gone up in incremental values, but it's the same thing. But when I did it the other day, that actually moved incrementally rather than in pure numbers, which was interesting, but it's not doing that now. So again, you could delete that keyframe, go back into the animation, select that, and turn the generator on. And so that's basically now set up for animation. So I'm going to clear the keyframes from that. And let's revert. Put that back there. So let's say you can just, another way to do that would be to go to spline animation. So I set that to 1, insert the keyframe, and I'm not going to bother, I'm just knowing I'm playing with this, so I'm just going to go straight into the graph editor and add my modifier, then back out, set that to follow. I'm going to select my thing and go to constraints and throw in a follow path. Pick my flight path, which is that. It's all pointing the right. This basically controls which direction it is, so I choose follow curve. You can see it. It's just picking which way round your vehicle's facing. So I'll do Shift G. That now is locked to the. I did a Shift D to clear location there. That's now on the front of there. So as I move this, just move this up a bit so you can see these. Off it goes. And that's your ship following your path. Now at the moment it's following the path, and it's following it in terms of heading, but it's not doing any banking. Now there are two ways you could tackle the banking. One is within the curve itself. If you go into edit mode and you go to the individual points and alter the tilt, you can alter the way the vehicle tilts. If I just come out, let's just make sure it is following the curve. Yes. So that should be honouring the tilt. Ah, there we go. Just wasn't moving it far enough. So there is, you could do that. And go to that one, and that's got. And you can just sort of work out your banking here. I can take that one. I can make it go that way. And I'm only dragging the timeline here, so I'm lining up the ship so I can see how I want it to curve. So again, that would come in nice and tight there. Move along. Like that. Okay, I want subtle movement there, so you can see I'm just basically going through. And I'm just tweaking this to get what I want in terms of it. Now personally, I wouldn't be inclined to do it this way, for the simple reason of if you want to refine the animation of the curves, you've got to go in and keep tweaking the tilts, which is a bit of a pain. So I'm going to revert that. Oh, another thing you can do, by the way, to apply the animation to this instead of doing it in the graph editor, is if we take this and we set up the constraint like that, follow curve, I hit Animate Path, that'll basically do the same as doing it within the graph editor. It'll do that work for you. So if I drag that along now, then again it's following the motion. So what I'd actually do to actually alter the banking, I would manipulate this by hand. So if we sort of come to here and adjust R, Y, Y, so it's rotating on its local Y axis. like that. Insert a single keyframe, because I'm only really interested in the y-axis, not the x-axis. And set that to 0 there. Insert keyframe there. Just bring this up so we can see the keyframes. And so this way, what happens is you can control the animation a bit more fluidly, like that. I just hit I over the thing then. I'm hitting I while directly over there, it's just updating that keyframe. And so on and so forth, basically. So I'll just leave it there, but that gives you an idea of how it's following the animation. Just get out of the way for now. So if you watch that, it now does some nice sweepy curves as it moves, like that. Right, so next stop, push that to 1. The next stop is to actually have the camera follow that. Now, for the same reason, I won't have the camera follow the curve. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add in an empty. Like that. I am going to cut F2 and I'm going to call this target empty. Shift click that and I'm going to parent it. Then I'm going to put that first, GY, pull it back, pull it up a bit. And I'm going to parent the camera to that. And I'm also going to make it look at that. So constraint, oh, camera, not the empty, add object constraint, track to. Going to track to the empty. And again, just play with this value till you find the angle you're looking for. So that's not right, so let's try X. No, let's try Y. Z minus, and there we go. So you just play around with those till you get it going the right way. If I try to R there, nothing will happen because it's tracking that vehicle. Now the reason I've tracked the empty and not this is because then if I want to do something with the animation like G, I can move the empty in relation to the craft without upsetting the craft at all. Like thus. So I can control what the camera's doing, and then on top of that I can control what the camera's doing in terms of its movement. So I've got 3 levels of control for handling it. And so if we just split this now, just duplicate this, and we'll have that as the camera. So like I can GYY, ZZ, pull that out to give me that angle, and then I can rotate that. So that's giving me the position for the flight of the actual camera. Now when I play it, there we go. We've got the camera following it like that, and that's pretty static. And you can see where I've got rid of when I'm not doing it. Now, the only thing to bear in mind here is if you've got this curve and you decide you want to double the animation there, and I say let's make it 175, say, as the whole. What will happen now is the curves and everything are all going out because it's following the old points at which it turned. But that's easy. All you need to do is go to here, select everything, and it was 100 and it's now 108, so I can scale that up like that, say. And you can do that. And also, but that stands to reason as well, you can move these things individually. So I might want that to hold through a bit more, so it stays like that, but then it curves there. I can even bring that a bit further forward. So you see where you've got the control, and you can pull that back to there. And you can pull that back. So you can finesse your banking over. So I can pull these back, say, like that. And then you can add another one in there, just R, Y, Y, like that. Insert a frame there. So you see you can play around to your heart's content with that. Take it back. R, Y, Y, bang a boom, like that. And again, just insert the single. So you've got that sort of effect going on. So there's your first camera movement, all well and good. Right, so the next thing is to apply the second camera to the other one. Well, that's simple enough, we just select that. Snap the cursor to selected, select the second camera, snap selection to cursor. There we go. Actually, we want to snap the cursor to there, and we want to snap the origin to cursor. Oh, that's not. Let's move that out the way. Let's stick that there. Say. I didn't realise that was blocking the path. Now, nothing's happening yet, so again, select the camera, go Edge Object Constraint, Follow Path, Secondary Curve, Animate the Path, Follow the Curve. Alright, where's it gone? Bum-ba-dum-bum. Where is the camera disappeared to? Oh, Alt G. That'd help, wouldn't it? There we go. That's better. I hadn't cleared the. If I undo that, actually, you can see the camera's got an offset there based on where it was. So I just need to set them to 0 to put it where the curve is. So now we've got the second animation of the camera, but the downside is that's playing when we don't want it to. So I actually want to play it from about there. So I am going to actually just go to my offset, put 170 in. You see the camera, second camera stays put. 170, it kicks off, going around there. And again, we shall add ourselves a track 2. We shall track to the empty. And do the same as before, so I'm going to go with a Y up and an X minus Z. Okay, there's an X up. There we go. Is that right? Try Z. No, minus Z. Minus Y, Z, no. Y up, minus Z, there we go, that's what we want. So that's now pointing the right way, it's looking at the empty, and off we go. And like I say, because this is tracking the empty, if I want to change the look of it, I can just move the empty. You can see that's moving the empty. Right. So the next step is to cut the animation together. We want the second camera to come in at a certain point. So let's go to frame 1. Make sure we've got the first camera selected. In here we just press M for markers. That will do a marker of that. Now the camera is selected. Make sure you're hovering there, do Control B. That has now bound the camera to that keyframe. We come all the way up to here. As you can see, the second camera is tracking it still. And I'm going to say there, let's turn that round. Back a frame, back another frame. And I'm going to bind my second camera. Actually, I'm going to bind it here. So I'm going to go here, hit M for a marker. Now select my second camera. Make sure you're over this bit. Here won't work. Control B, that just gives you a box in the viewport. Control B here, does nothing. It's got to be here. Second camera. So now what we've got is the first camera plays all the way up to here. The second camera cuts in and tracks it to there. Like that. So like here, for example, if I go here, say I'm going to add a keyframe there for that location, then here I'm going to GY, X, pull it back, GZ, pull it down, add a location there. In fact, I'll add a location rotation. And so now there's a sort of shift in the camera focus. Let's make that 320. And get to here, I'm going to GX, slide it up to there, GZ, and that, and insert location there. So when we play it now, you get that subtle camera animation which is over and above the rest. Like that. Right, one last thing to do is we can play with the actual craft itself. So we get to about there. That's the end of the. So that finishes at frame 175. So at 175, I'm actually going to keyframe the location and rotation of that. Zoom in. And I'm going to hide the buildings for now. That's why I've put them in their own collection, so I can hide them so I can see what I'm playing with. Right. And let's pull that off a bit. So I'm going to move forward a bit. I'm going to insert location rotation, see what we're getting. And then you're basically just adding some animation to it. So just R G R G. I'm going to insert location rotation there. Let's just see how that looks. Okay, just so just a subtle thing, but adds to the overall effect. So we go over there, I go into the view. I'm going to turn off overlays, go back to the beginning, and we play. So there's that. And as I say, all of this is tweakable, so you can come along like that. You can even have the camera bank differently to add an effect. So R, Y, Y, X, X. So you're banking the camera there, you can make it change. So you can alter at each point what the camera's doing. Just remember, if you're going to do that, go to the beginning and lock in a keyframe. You're only changing the rotation and location, so I can RZ now. I can insert that. RZZ. Go there. I. I can go back, I can go here, I can control C on there, go up there, control V to realign it. So you can see I can play with the whole position of the camera at the same time. And the same here. I can change the empty, I can G, Y, Y. I can pull it down. insert that, go forward, UIY. So I'm changing the whole, again, the whole feel of it. Control C and Control V there to put it back. So when you hit that point, you're still getting camera movement as if you sort of anticipating or lagging behind what's happening. And again, if you change the speeds for the curves, then just select everything you want and scale, and it'll scale from wherever the thing is. If I move that to here and scale, you can see it's scaling out. It'll always scale out from where your frame thing is, so you could tighten it in that way instead. So you see that way I'm affecting the distance between them based on the last frame. But if I move that to there, then I'm affecting it and I'm pulling in the other ones more because they've got further out, so they react quicker. Whereas this way, the other ones react quicker. So you see the others bunch up much quicker than the others. So you can play with the whole timing of it. So that's literally everything. I don't think I've missed anything. I shall put up the this result here along with the starting file on my Google Drive and for people to dissect. And as always, I hope this has been of use for someone, and seeing as we're all in lockdown across the world at the moment, to do everybody a favour, stay indoors, stay safe.